Hello, everyone. I'm Brittany. I'm the Education Officer of SPSS, and I'm here today with Leigh Ruxton. And Leigh Ruxton here is going to be doing an interview with us today, advocating for people who stutter for the upcoming International Stuttering Awareness Day. Leigh Ruxton is also a keen conversationalist at the Australian Speakeasy Association. So, hey, Leigh.
How's things?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. It's sunny downtown in Port Hedland, Australia.
Amazing. So just to give a little context to everyone who's watching, we met through the Speakeasy virtual meetup sessions that are held monthly through the Speakeasy Association. And I thought Leigh's story was very inspiring, so I wanted to call him to do an interview with me today so we can just will make people more aware about the different lived experiences of stuttering. So to start off with, Leigh, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yes, certainly. I firstly have to say that I'm still amazed at myself doing this sort of thing online to people. As a stutterer, it's like you want to dig a hole through concrete instead of doing this. But anyway, my name's Leigh Ruxton. I'm a pilot with RFDS, have been a pilot for 30 odd years now, 56 years old. I've been a stutterer since the day I can recall being able to talk or coherently of any type. I've grown up and lived in Australia my whole life, predominantly on the East Coast and South Coast. I've been to any number of speech therapy sessions in hospital courses when I was about 18 years old for stuttering. And yeah, it's been an interesting time. My love has always been for flying. And I thought at one stage I'd never be able to fly because you have to press a little button, which is a press to talk button, to speak to tower, to speak to other airplanes and so on. And I thought I'd never be able to do that because of my stutter. I was able to do that, which is great. And now I've had I'm having a great career. A good fun career, and have been able to live with stuttering and move on, accepting that it'll always be with me in some form or fashion. So that's a shortened story, I suppose.
Oh, very nicely summed up. So before all of these kind of opportunities where you put yourself up in front and talking in front of people, what was it like growing up with a stutter?
It was horrible. I can remember school as like an evil monster, being in class, and the kids, my peers, being kids, they're horrible. They don't mean to be horrible, but they are. You know, they see someone who is different, someone who can't talk. Or can't talk very well, and I could hardly string a couple of words together without stuttering. Now I feel I'm very fortunate because of my career. I'm able, and where I'm at the moment, I feel I can speak well, or as well as I'm able to. Back then, I could hardly put a couple of words together, and being asked to read in class, each person read a chapter of this book in English, say, doing that, it was just horrible because now everybody's looking at you, that really strong, horrible sense in the sort of pit of your stomach that this is going wrong. And of course, that just heightens the stuttering and just makes things worse. So this was throughout all my schooling and all my young life. And I became very quiet sort of kid, I suppose, because of that. I didn't want to stand out in the crowd. So very much a just trying to think of the word. Yeah, I didn't really want to stand out in the crowd. So I was looked upon as that weird kid who couldn't talk very well. So yeah, it was hard. And at the same time, my father being in the Air Force, we were moved around every couple of years. So every couple of years, I'd have to start at a new school. And that's even worse because now you've got to integrate yourself into all these strangers, with all these strangers who now have to learn that there's a kid that can't talk very well. They don't understand about stuttering or, anything like that. They just see it as a kid who can't talk well, and they'll react as they do. Some, sort of look straight through that, which is great. But a great many just sort of stepped back and went, okay, this is different. And, abused me accordingly. I became a very good fighter at times, which is sad to say. But sometimes it just got to a point I'd strike out, or they'd strike first, or there'd be things happen, and so it even actually got to a fighting stage a number of times.
Wow. So as you grew older, was there a point that you could recall where everything started to get better?
Good question. And I've thought about this so many times over my life. Again, I feel blessed that I'm able to press the little button inside the airplane to press to talk, to speak to the world, and to have the courage to talk to groups and so on. Where it changed, probably in my 20s, I couldn't really pinpoint a moment or a time, but I think I got to a stage where I'd done speech therapy. I'd been to speakeasy groups as a young man, which just frightened me to death, essentially, because again, you're speaking in front of people. It doesn't matter that they've all got the same issue that I did. You're still speaking in front of people. And I'd been to a hospital course for speech therapy for 2 weeks. And I think sometime after that, sort of in my 20s, going on into my 30s, I think it was an attitudinal thing with me, and it was a confidence thing. I was able to build the confidence to say, hey, I want to go off in this direction, doing these things. To do that, I've got to talk. I've got to present in a certain way. So I think it was a realization of, hey, I've got to get the confidence if I want to go where I want to go. That was a big thing for me. And one thing that sort of sticks in my mind is, I think I had an attitude with myself like, right, I don't really care that I'm stuttering. I'm cheesed off that I'm stuttering because I want to get a point across. But it became more, not an anger issue, but I was cheesed off at stuttering, and I didn't want that to stop me from trying to get the points of view across. So it was sort of over a 10-year period, I suppose.
Wow, got you. That's quite a journey. So then how has that experience, well, how's the experience now, living as an adult?
It's very, very different. The majority of people, if not everyone, when I say, hey, I'm a stutterer, go, no, you're not. And we almost have an argument like, yes, I am. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. I still feel that I am a stutterer. I've just completed a very intense training with RFDS, and they basically pull you apart and then they build you back together flying wise. And because you're a human, that goes into a mental thing as well. So it's all a human factors process as well. And it's very stressful, but at the end, you come out an even better pilot than you were. So it's a great process.
Mm-hmm.
During those periods of high stress and high pressure, I found I was stuttering more, which made me more cheesed off, which made me work harder to do. So it was like a cyclic type of process. So I don't stutter anywhere near as much as I used to. I still stutter, absolutely, but I don't want to say I'm like everyone else, because we're all individuals and I'm me. But from a talking perspective, I've always believed that everybody stutters at least 4 times a minute. It's something I was told by a speech therapist when I was, I don't know what age, very young.
Mhm.
I hope that is true. I don't know. It just works for me anyway. But so I still feel I am a stutterer in the pure sense. But I'm very much accepting of it. I'm comfortable in that fact that I am a stutterer, and it doesn't concern me. It's sort of turned a full loop where I'm actively trying to find ways to help others, because I know the absolute hell I've been through in my life, my younger years. And if I can help in just one way, one person, well, I think that would be great, because it might relieve them of the stresses that they're going through. Because I think each stutterer, each person who stutters, don't know which is the right way of saying it, I think we all feel that we go through our own journeys and we're on our own and we're isolated. I mean, even with the speeches I've had help me, in earlier years, I still felt like I'm the only one on the planet that's got this, or I felt at that stage. Now, I think I finally matured in my understanding of it, that, hey, it's all over the place. Why do they have pathologists in the first place? Because there's so many that have got issues.
Yeah.
Because we're humans. So it's changed a great deal. I'm just a lot more comfortable in my skin, I suppose, is the best answer.
Fantastic. Amazing. So you touched upon how speech pathologists have played a role in your life. So I just wanted to hound in on that and ask you, how have speech pathologists you throughout your journey with stuttering? And if you want, you could share some negative experiences that you've experienced with certain speech pathologists that helped you there.
Right. I would have to think hard and long about any negative ones, but I'll talk about my journey with speech therapists, and then something might actually pop up in that, I don't know. But my first recollection is, I think I was about 4 or 5 years old. So I was in this room, which was obviously a doctor's type of surgery, or a specialist sort of surgery. I was a young kid. The only toys in the room was this dollhouse made of wood. So I was sent over into the corner to play with this dollhouse, which, of course, being a kid, I did. And my mum and this man talked for a while, and they kept actually looking over at me, and I looked at them and just kept playing. So that was the first thing I ever knew. I mean, I had absolutely no idea it was about me or about stuttering. Some years later, I think about 8 or 9, when I knew I had a problem with speaking. I don't know how it evolved, but my mum took me to a hypnotherapist, and we go there. I don't know how many sessions I had, probably 3 or 4 would be a guess. All I can really remember is I was asked what was the favourite TV show I was watching. I can't remember what show it was, but and he said, right, cool. Did the counting, did the, are you relaxing and so on, as hypnotherapists do. And my task was to think about this show, episodes of these particular shows. And it was weird, because all I can recollect is me thinking, I don't know the full episode. So I'm making stuff up in my own brain going, I don't know where we're going with this. This is pointless. I'm supposed to talk about a show. It probably wasn't even the best show I liked anyway. And then all of a sudden, right, when I can count down from 10, you'll feel very relaxed. You'll move on through your day, blah, blah, blah. And I would basically float down the sets of stairs from his office, completely relaxed, completely happy with life, having absolutely no idea what just happened. My mum said that for almost exactly 12 hours, I wouldn't stutter. And then after that, I'd start stuttering again. I don't recall that. I have talked with my mum about this at length, trying to find out exactly what happened. So I think we stopped that because it only lasted for 12 hours, strangely enough. But then I started to see a speech therapist, and that's when I really knew I had a problem. I was becoming more and more internalized with my confidence and schooling and everything else. So it was really affecting my day-to-day life. The speech therapists were all fantastic. I can remember it's a box, it's got a couple of buttons, and it's got little counters on it. And I don't know if I think I just had to talk about certain things. And the speech therapist would be actually tapping away, and it was all the syllables or something that you all know what I'm talking about. I just know it was a counting machine, and also counting the amount of stutters. So, and I can remember very vividly actually sitting there with my arms crossed, really concentrating on this box, trying to not have the small number, which was stutters, going up and up and up, trying to get one number bigger than the other number, so I could see improvement in myself. So I was very much a goal-driven person. Then even at that age, probably 12, 13, around there somewhere. And we talked about breathing. We talked about all sorts of processes. And the speech therapists I had were fantastic. At the time, I didn't really know it, but they were actually giving me a doorway into saying, hey, it's okay to be a stutterer. It's okay that you're really struggling with talking and you're not on your own. At the time, that didn't really tweak. As I said before, it took a number of years more for me to really understand and to process that. But so from that box and from talking and from breathing and just being aware of how I talked, I think I started to learn the soft contact speech at that stage. But I wasn't that great at it, or I didn't feel that I was achieving anything. And I went to a number of speeches over the years with that, in my younger years. And then it came to a stage where I was about 17, 18, where they said, look, there is an opening. It was at Lidcombe Hospital in New South Wales, Australia, where you go in for 2 weeks. It's an in-house course. There'll be speech pathologists there, and you'll be taught, and you'll have the ability to practice the smooth speech or soft contact speech. I'm not exactly sure of the name of it, but those are the names I know it of. And this was with Mark Onslow, who was the major speech pathologist of that course. I went to that course, and it was very intense, very enlightening. I can remember going around, and we had these small tape recorders, the little mini tape recorders, and we would have to go around the hospital and speak to people. And apart from this sort of speech pathology little area, there was a quadriplegics area, paraplegics area. There was an old people's home type of place. There was a number of sort of collectives, in this hospital area. And I can remember going to the old people's area and speaking with people. And it was probably a poor choice at my tender years at that stage, because these people actually wanted to tell their life story. And I got some fantastic stories and information about the Bondi trams that used to drag the ships in with big wires and so on, but I hardly did any talking. So I was told off that I needed to be doing more talking and just not listening. I tried the same thing with the paraplegics, the quadriplegics area, the same sort of process. And I felt that I ended up being a therapist and helping them through their issues, which was great. You know, I just didn't realize it at the time. We were all, and there was about probably 10 of us, all like younger than me. I was the oldest there. We were sent into a shopping centre, or taken to a shopping centre, and to go in and stores and so on. Again, I've gone into a place. It was an electronics store where they had TVs and stereos and so on. And this guy wanted to show me all the stereos, so he had the sound up that high, you couldn't hear me talking. So I got into a lot of trouble consistently with that, and it was probably engendered by me as well. I probably chose to do that so I could hide. Yeah. You know, I could hide away. So although the training was great there, in my own way, I was fighting back, going, you know, it's too scary for me. I can't do this. And I even actually pressing a button to actually record is just frightening, because it's putting all my bad stuff on this machine. I have to say that with all the speeches I've had and all the assistants, the speakeasy groups as well, it was an evolution for me, from that first sitting in the room with a doll's house, having absolutely no idea why I was there, to actively going to speech therapy groups, to speakeasy groups and so on. It was really an evolution, and each step of the way, every speech he helped. And I don't think there was ever really a bad thing that was done. I mean, everyone had their own ways of presenting their assistance, their help, but there's nothing that actually sticks out in my head that's saying that person really, you know, hurt me some way mentally, which is great as far as I'm concerned, because it means that everyone to a person was there for the right reason, and they may not have helped me at that time, but they helped me in my evolution to what I am now. I still use the soft contact speech. I'm finding I'm using it a great deal at the moment, which is interesting because I've been able to snap into it. That's all the training I've had. It's not me practicing. I don't practice it. I probably should. But it's that evolution of each speech therapist that has helped me. So yeah, quite seriously, eternally grateful for it.
Wow. All of that stuff is very insightful. And thank you for being so, well, talking so in depth about your lived experience of having a stutter. I think this is actually a great point to end this interview on. So Leigh, thank you so much for, just being here, doing an interview with me, and being a part of raising awareness about stuttering for the upcoming International Stuttering Awareness Day. I think our cohort is going to be very grateful for all the information about your life that you shared, about what it's like to live with a stutter. So yeah, thank you very much. Do you have anything that you want to say to, well,
Absolutely. One, I didn't know there was an International Stuttering Day, so I think that's great. The awareness needs to be out there, and each day I think about it, the more I want to assist and to help others and to have others understand about it. So I think that's great. I couldn't be where I am today without the help I had got in the past. So that is huge. And I think the way that speech therapists go about their business is so incredibly important, because it stays with every individual that goes through a program like that for life. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing.